The following is a Cheeky Leprechaun production.
Pop culture is the entirety of ideas.
Me, Mario.
Let the bass kick.
I am the greatest.
Holy eggshell!
I am your father.
Georgia got me the cup from France, I think. Somewhere in France. It has French writing on the front, and I have no idea what it says. She's told me once. So I think it's Star Wars related.
Yeah, I have no idea.
No, I have no idea, but it's a cool mug.
Yeah,
it's like in a weird shape. I also don't think it holds... Well, it doesn't hold that much liquid either because it sort of loses a bit of the cup.
Inside, or is it...
Yeah, it's curved inside. So it's like somebody's... what do? They mould pottery.
Yeah.
It's like they've done it with their hand and they've just sort of squeezed right at the end and they've fucked the mug, essentially.
But then they can sell it for twice as much.
They sold it for just... No, you just put a little French writing on the front and it makes it instantly valuable.
Especially if it's pop culture related.
Mm-hmm. So what's news, man? What have you been watching?
Well...
Movies? TV? Anything?
TV.
TV?
Yeah.
Have you got Disney Plus?
I do.
What do you think?
Look, I was more excited at the start than I probably am now for the content that is on there.
Yeah. Why? Tell me.
Well, I think more of the factor that I was really excited for was the nostalgia, the amount of stuff that was going to be on there that I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen this in so long, and I love this, and obviously I was excited for all the new original content they were going to be coming out with.
What was the original things though? Not the original, but the nostalgia stuff that you were excited for.
Kind of a lot of those old weird Disney movies that I hadn't watched since I was a kid, like Treasure Planet and Atlantis.
Yep.
Some of those old cartoon TV shows that I still haven't even got around to actually watching on there, like Kim Possible and stuff like that.
Yep.
But,
Did you see when I did that? I was the same. I'm like, the Disney Vault, which they always said, if things come out on DVD, it means Disney have put them out of the vault for like a year of retail. They'll sell them for a year and then they put them back in the vault and you can't buy them in stores for a year. You know about the whole Disney Vault? You're familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, with this, obviously, the Disney Vault, it's now just online. So I was like, that's awesome. We're going to be able to access all these memories from our childhood.
Yeah.
And then I purchased it and I was all excited. And I did the Netflix thing where you just sort of sit there and you scroll for a night where you don't actually...
And you scroll.
Yeah, you don't watch anything, but you just scroll.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that'd be good to watch. And then after a while, I was like, well, I actually don't know if I am that keen to go and watch some of these things. Like Pocahontas. Loved it as a kid for some reason. And I was like, they've got Pocahontas. I'm not actually going to go watch Pocahontas.
Yeah, I've still never seen it. I honestly haven't seen half the original Disney movies. I haven't seen Little Mermaid, Pocahontas. I only saw Mulan 2 years ago.
I haven't seen Mulan.
As much as I'm like, I can watch it now, I still haven't got around to watching it. It's almost an effort to go and watch something like that.
Yeah. Is Mulan one that they're making a live action out of?
Yes.
But it's very different.
Yeah, there's no singing in it from what I'm aware of. It's totally redone. None of the magic or none of the Disney.
It's a Christopher Nolan grounded sort of in reality. It looks like it's more swordsmanship and I mean, I haven't really watched the trailer that much. Have you watched the Lady and the Tramp live action?
I have not yet. That's another one of those
you haven't
ones.
taken nearly the advantage you should have of Disney Plus. Neither have I. But isn't it funny? Everyone wanted to get it straight away. I had to get it. You were talking about it. You and I were messaging. And I'm like, Justin's got Disney Plus. I don't want to miss out. So suddenly I'm downloading it.
The day it came out for the Australian release when I was away in North America.
Yeah.
And I pretty much, the most I've used it was really the flights that I've had. I just downloaded things off it to watch.
And what did you watch?
Well, that was my long haul flight, and that was when I watched Avatar that's on there.
Oh, I didn't know they had Avatar. Was that a Fox pickup for them?
I'm not sure. I feel like it was a late choice, but because I saw a lot of advertising for it being on there. But yeah, that was one of those ones where I was like, I love this movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'll download it and watch it on the plane. And along with that, also I watched Treasure Planet and Atlantis. Those are my classics as a kid.
Yeah. See, for me, it was Lion King. It was Pocahontas. What else was there? There was, what else was one for me was Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Have not seen it.
Oh, it was classic. You know what though? Severely depressing. Like if I was to watch it now as an adult, I'd be like, well, this is just it's about a deformed.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are.
Well, yeah,
They've
are.
got pretty messed up stories.
It's not. It's educational, I guess.
Yeah.
What about The Mandalorian? Have you got around to that?
Yeah, every episode as it came out.
Me too. Well, not as it came out. I was a little bit behind, but I've caught up now. So you watched it almost like it was on television.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they released it like that.
I was super happy that they did. I think it's a nice thing for a lot of shows now to be getting back to like weekly releases. Because as much as you love like the Netflix binge a show in one go kind of thing, it kind of is a detriment to itself in that people forget about it so much quicker because everyone will just watch it at once and then it's gone. With a weekly release, like you can space the seasons as far apart as like a Netflix special you can, but you have such less time to wait in between because now you've killed 8 weeks of one show rather than watching one show in 8 hours.
You don't feel like sometimes, I don't know if this is just because maybe at least I've become accustomed to binge watching things, that if I do watch things a week apart or whatever it might be, because let's be honest, you don't always get to sit down same time every week when it comes out, sit down and watch it straight away. So you're probably looking at a week and a bit sometimes before you can actually watch a show. Sometimes 2 weeks because you just don't have that time. It's not like the old days where you'd sit down at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night and the OC would be coming on. Actually, it was 8:30 on a Tuesday in Australia, but anyway, not the point. But that doesn't happen anymore because we've got the opportunity to watch things at our own convenience. My point is, I'm so used to binging things that I feel like I'm forgetting what came before quicker.
But that's why they're also bringing back those like, you know, previously on.
Yeah, I have noticed that.
And
The Mandalorian did that, didn't it?
It did that.
Yeah.
And a lot of other shows like HBO shows and stuff that do the weekly releases still do that as well. Like we watched Watchmen and they had that every week as well. They had it previously on. And even if it was for something that happened 3 episodes ago, they can, and that might be important this episode, they sneak a bit of that into it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love when they do that because not only do I sometimes think, oh, God, I don't remember much of last episode. I think I remember the main things, let alone 3 episodes ago. The opening, it tells you what's important to remember.
They are helpful.
Yeah, and like realistically, if it doesn't appear in that opening, I can usually go, oh, I think I'm going to be able to get through this one all right.
Yeah, they kind of give you a hint to maybe also like what the episode can be about.
Yeah.
Given what they show in the previously bit. As much as I probably do skip it a lot because, you know, I've remembered what's on the last week.
Or you're behind and you're binge watching.
or you're behind and you're binge watching and you're like, skip, I just saw that.
So what do you think? Is it you're a big Star Wars guy? Mandalorian, it was, in my opinion, I'm an outsider Star Wars person. I'm not really intricately in there, but what did you think? Was it in keeping? Was it something that's added to the mythos that is Star Wars? Or what did you think?
I thought it was a beautiful love letter to the originals. Like, just the way that all of it was written, the way that they structured it, the way that the story flowed. They had, like, episodic bits in there that really, you know, didn't add a whole lot to the story, but had their own touching little theme and moral to it. Just, like, the character development. There was so much more to it than what you get from, like, the new Disney trilogy movies or even like the prequels. Like they had just so much more of what was in the original movies that made them what they are.
Like narrative based, do you mean? Or?
Yeah.
I felt even the originals obviously were made in an era where, yes, the technology was great for the time. But if you compare, I don't know, Return of the Jedi, whatever, to The Rise of Skywalker, they look totally different. Like Rise of Skywalker looks like it's been made on a computer.
Yeah.
Whereas if you compared them both and you said these have both been made at the same period, what's the difference? You would look at Return of the Jedi and say, oh, they've really stripped back the special effects.
Yeah.
I feel like that was sort of The Mandalorian. It didn't rely too heavily on, like, I could buy into, oh, this could be on a set.
Yeah.
Like, this could be on location.
Yeah.
In, like, the desert. They might have shot this. I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't. But it just didn't feel so overly produced with CG and
And I think they were really smart on how they chose their producers and directors for it, because they are the type of people who, whatever they do, try to keep their stuff in that perfect balance between crazy special effects and like practical stuff. So, you know, one thing that Star Wars has always done, prequels, original, and like the new Disney ones, they like to keep as much practical stuff as they can. So, like puppets in bars and stuff like that.
Yeah, the new ones do keep that, don't they?
Yeah, they brought it back a lot more over the prequels, because that was one of the things people complained about a lot. Even in like The Rise of Skywalker, there's a planet that blows up and you can see it as if it, like you can tell watching it, someone's got a model of a planet and has blown it up with like charges
Really?
and then put it into it. If you go back and watch it, you can pick it out straight away. Like it does not look fake. It looks too real to be where it is, which I think is a really good thing.
Why do they do it though? Is it just to be in keeping with...
I think it's a mix. It's in keeping with what it was, like how they built it, but also it grounds it in reality more, so people tend to believe it better. Like if you saw, I don't know, something like Jar Jar Binks, that no one could ever believe that's going to be walking around with you. Like,
come on, man. Rick, let's not. I don't, as I said, an outsider, understand the hate for Jar Jar.
No.
Because
This is no hate for his character.
If that's the argument, you couldn't imagine half of this shit walking around with him.
No, you couldn't. This isn't like hate for his character. This is just saying he looks fake because most of him's CGI. But if you have something like R2-D2, like that's a real like person in a little moving thing, or it's a real like robot they've built that's moving along with it. And so you can tell the difference seeing all those things next to one another.
Yeah.
One's real and one's fake. And if you see something like this model of a planet blowing up, you're like, wow, that looks real. Because you can see like all of the light is the right way that it should be inside it. The smoke's right. The fire's right. Same thing with like Lord of the Rings. Like all of the explosions and wars in that were all because they built like scale models of all of these castles and things and blew them up.
Yeah.
And then just put them in front of like fake backgrounds. And you can tell they look so good because it's real. And that's just, it makes a big difference.
Well, it's funny because I don't know if I was talking to you already about this, but when you do watch Star Wars, and this does tie into what you're saying, it sort of makes more sense now. There's numerous times where you'll see these, I don't know, something like R2 or BB-8 is sort of the exception to the rule, but I often see these new robot characters where I'm like, the movements of them are very not advanced in terms of where I think technology is now. It's like, couldn't they have made something better than that?
Yeah.
But in saying that, I guess if they were to do that, then R2 would look completely ridiculous. Like, what was the in The Mandalorian on the lava river they were floating along?
Oh, the like big
maybe the last
stand-up
episode,
dude, like
yes,
the R2
it
thing
looked
with
like
the arms
R2,
and legs.
and it was sort of a gondola. What would you call them? A gondola?
I don't know.
person?
I think it was like supposed to be, you know, the Greek mythology, like the river Styx, the dude.
Yes.
I think it was supposed to be kind of that.
I assume so.
Yeah.
So then it like this R2 thing stood up and it had legs and everything that shot out of it. But even the movements of it were very robotic. Nothing was smooth about these robots. But I guess, like it's sort of, I don't know. That is one thing about when I watched Star Wars. Rise of Skywalker as well, I thought the same thing, where I was like, don't we have better technology we could be using now? Because then they do. They flash BB-8 at you, and BB-8's this cool, modernistic sort of take on...
Solo,
I haven't seen it.
Oh.
I haven't seen Solo.
That is one of the best ones.
Really?
I say, yeah.
Why? What makes that different? Because to me, I was like... Rogue One, controversially, I was like, yes, the Darth Vader stuff was great. Other than that, I was like... I found it a bit forgettable.
Oh, see, I also really loved Rogue One.
But everyone loved Rogue One. I'm in the minority there.
Yeah.
But Solo, I'd heard whispers of it's actually good, but I'm too scared to really say anything about it. But it sounds like it was
Well,
okay.
I enjoyed it. I mean, like, it had a lot of things similar to Rogue One in that they weren't focused on the Jedi and magical powers and stuff like that. Like, it was definitely a more grounded character story. It, it had its ups and downs, like all of them do, but I thought it was still a really good story. Like, they had a lot of good character development between, like, Woody Harrelson and the guy who played Solo. Like, they just had really good
I
characters.
don't even think I realised Woody Harrelson was in that.
Yeah.
That might be enough of a selling point for me.
And Paul Bettany as well.
Oh, maybe I did know he was in it. Paul
Bettany.
Bettany.
Bettany, the one who plays Jarvis. And what's his name?
Vision.
Vision.
Yeah, Vision.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize
He's
was
the
in
bad
it.
guy.
Oh, he'd make a good bad guy.
He makes a very good bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even like Jarvis sort of had that. Like, it's the British. I think
Yeah,
it's the British.
it's the
It is,
classic
definitely-
British, yeah.
Okay, so I might have to watch Solo then. But you think out of the Disney, once Disney got their hands on Lucasfilms, you think Solo's up there with the better things they've done?
In terms of the films, I would probably say Rogue One is my favorite Disney film. Then maybe I'm tossing up between Force Awakens and the new one, Rise of Skywalker, because Force Awakens was great because it was like the first one after X years, like how long it's been since the third movie came, Revenge of the Sith came out.
Yeah.
And so everyone was just excited, like this is the first time it's back.
Yeah.
And they did it really well. Like a lot of people really didn't like it that much, but
I don't understand that.
I loved it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. I've watched it since. It holds up.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, is there a blueprint it follows of essentially
It is a New Hope. Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
But it's still good.
And that is probably a slight criticism of that J.J. Abrams gets. He's almost too heavily involved in fan service.
Yes.
He
really does
I think
want people
JJ
to be
wants
happy.
to be loved.
Yeah,
he
that's
really
so
wants
true.
to be loved. But that was the whole Ryan Johnson thing with what was it Last
Jedi?
Last
Yeah.
Jedi. Where'd you sit on that one?
I was really like, the first time I walked out of it, I was, wow, this was awful. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't watch it for about, God, when did that come out?
That would have been 2017. Hang on, I'll confirm. But
Well, I probably
it
didn't.
might have been 18. I don't know. Hang on.
I think the second time I watched it was like mid last year. Would have been around June or July last year. I was sitting down and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it another crack. Because that's when all the trailers...
2017, yeah.
Jesus, that was long ago.
Yeah.
So a year and a half after I first walked out of that midnight session, if it was a midnight, I can't remember. And I hated it. And then I gave it another go like mid last year. And I thought, yeah, it's got a lot of problems, but I can see where Ryan Johnson was coming from. I see what he wanted to do. And aside from him trying to maybe plug holes from The Force Awakens in his own way, he had a really good idea. I just think his execution was off. So, as you said, J.J. Abrams is all about the fan service. Ryan Johnson seemed to really want to delve more into like the deep lore that a lot of people in that fan area know about in a non-fan servicey way. And I don't know much about that because I've never gone that deep into it. Like I'm still a surface level like Star Wars fan. Like I just watch the TV shows and the movies. There are people who read all the books, they've read all the comics, all of that like legend stuff.
But do those people seem to have enjoyed what he did with it?
No, I don't think anyone really enjoyed it.
No, there's no appreciation for it.
But I think that's just because of his writing as a whole. The way that the film is structured, there are just, regardless of how much he did right in terms of like Star Wars lore, the film as a film was a bad film. Like character choices and plot holes were just like awful.
Well, to me, it sort of felt like there was moments in it where characters were given... I mean, the biggest one that stands out is the Carrie Fisher. Princess Leia sort of just...
Yeah.
Oh, she's just going to
She's just
float
floating
through space back to the space.
surprise.
It was like, that was... And when that first happened, I was like, this is a cool moment to kill her off.
Yeah, it would have been perfect.
Would have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been emotional and like it had a huge impact. But
yeah, but I feel like Ryan Johnson sort of set the stage for what J.J. Abrams then picked up and did, which was just sort of introducing new powers, for lack of a better term, to various characters. I mean,
yeah, well, from what I've heard, all of that stuff is what was kind of in the Legends So like when Disney bought Star Wars, everything that had been made around the Star Wars universe, from like people who were slightly involved, fans that got it made into like part of the universe, everything got canned except for the 6 movies and the Clone Wars TV show. Absolutely everything else got trashed and said,
What else was there?
oh, there was hundreds of books and comics and games and like fan movies and stuff
So all
like
that was scrapped.
all of it was scrapped because a lot of it was trash.
Okay.
Like,
But Disney
it
have
was-
since relaunched comics, correct?
Yes, they relaunched
Okay.
comics and relaunched books.
So that's a Disney comic. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and there's they've launched like, I think they've done 10 books now as well. Like they're getting back into it, and what they're doing, from what everyone can see, is they're taking aspects of that Legends universe and fixing it. So putting it into real stories written by real people, because like as much as there was a lot of stuff, it was all like in very poorly written stories, things that just made no sense. Like there'd be 10 versions of the time between like episode 4 and 5 or something like that, where Luke would, you know, kill a whole bunch of people, or he'd marry Leia, or, you know, there'd be a lot of stupid things that happened. And that's why they wanted to get rid of it. And now they're picking pieces where they can use them appropriately. And so that's what Rian Johnson did for The Last Jedi. He tried to take a few things to introduce them back into like the canon, and he didn't do it very well. So J.J. Abrams, I think, tried to fix it and give explanations or use them better. So like the force healing that Rey does, which was kind of pre-introduced in Mandalorian before it was in the movie.
So yeah, okay. I had
Stuff like
some
that.
questions on that. So there was some things that appeared in the Mandalorian that then were, I mean, technically, because Jon Favreau wrote the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Is that a Jon Favreau creation? The idea of healing, like
I don't think so. I think that comes from
That's-
Legends.
okay.
I think everything that like has been kind of newly introduced, except for maybe Baby Yoda, has been coming from Legends.
what about the idea of and if I'm asking too in-depth questions here, just tell me.
Yeah.
The idea of Kylo and Rey being able to project themselves across the universe to each other.
I have no idea.
Because that took another... Because
Yeah.
that was a Rian Johnson thing.
That was. And I'm going to assume because of that, it was from Legends. I honestly
Yeah.
have no idea. I've never looked at any of those books or comics or anything like that. So I don't know.
Because then there was
But-
the JJ spin on it of, oh, I can now physically touch things.
Yeah.
When I'm at, which seemed like a bit of a fuck you to Rian Johnson. It was like, oh yeah, you think that was
He,
cool?
he
What
did a
about
lot of
which-
work to fix that movie.
Yeah, there was heaps of there was definitely heaps of things, like even the mask just being welded back together of Kylo.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, we're really wanting that mask back.
Yeah.
Which
And he made it look badass.
it did make it look badass. And
Yeah.
to be honest, why wouldn't you keep that mask? That is,
It's part of the character.
and I would also think Disney would be like, "Mate,
Merch.
we are selling so much merch.
Yeah.
You're like, come on. But yeah, okay, so that's interesting. What the thing that, getting back to JJ sort of doing the whole fan service thing, do you get the impression, it could just be me, that we're getting a lot of the Star Wars stuff from here on out, and it makes sense why it's going to be this way. Feels like we're getting fan fiction. This is now, in terms of these people that are working on these Star Wars shows, Jon Favreau, for example,
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams, they're all people that grew up on Star Wars, massive fans of Star Wars, and now they're coming into it with like, oh, I've had a Star Wars story I wanted to tell.
Well, I think that's a good thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing
Yeah.
at all.
I mean,
Because
like-
so often you read fan fiction, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish they'd make that movie.
Look at the people who are pretty much running Star Wars now. Like Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and I guess you could say J.J. Abrams. They're people who grew up with it,
Yeah.
and now they are doing it justice. Like Dave Filoni kind of came in when the Clone Wars started. Like
Which one is that?
the
The guy,
animated series.
Is that the guy that works at Lucasfilms with the cowboy hat?
Yeah, he always wears a cowboy hat.
Yeah, okay.
And he was like, you know, he was kind of, I don't know when he started, but might have been like just a low down guy. And then he started working on this Clone Wars animated series, and then it exploded and people loved it. And like that just kept going and going and going and getting better. And it reached a point like it was supposed to be a kid's show at the start, by like halfway through, they're like, hang on, no kids are watching
Only
this.
adults are into
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Let's start making it gritty, and like the stories were insane, and like that's a great show to watch to really
yeah.
like hear more in between it.
Well, that's what I have been. That's one thing with Disney Plus. I've had it recommended by you and
Yeah.
a couple other people. Is that considered canon?
Yeah, that was one of the only things that didn't start as Disney that also got brought over.
Okay.
But now Disney are continuing it because they cancelled it at season 7, I think. No, season 6. And now they're doing a season 7 that comes out next month, I think.
And this will be the first series of that season of that released under Disney.
Yes, I think so.
Oh, so it's been a couple years then.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Disney's had.
They didn't think it was ever going to come back, and there was this like massive public campaign was Save the Clone Wars, same as like how Deadpool was only really made because the fans wanted it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with this. Everyone was like, bring it back, we want it. They left so much of it untold because it's supposed to be the gap between like the start of the Clone Wars, that movie, and the Revenge of the Sith, like when Order 66 happens. And they nearly got there, but they had a huge gap that they left empty. And now they're like, all right, well, let's finish it because they know it's going to work well. And Dave Filoni's still doing it.
So he's still showrunner, is he?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
And now he's also like working on The Mandalorian, and you can see his love he's put into it.
What did he do on The Mandalorian? Do you know? Because I'm just looking over it here.
He directed 2 episodes,
Oh yeah, here we go.
and both of those episodes are like the most Clone Wars episodes that you could possibly imagine. Like the one that was the like farm village, I think that was him. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty much like through and through a 3-episode arc of the Clone Wars
Okay.
that he's like basically turned into a live action series.
Yeah.
And like a lot of his work that he's put into that is where they're all like, and Jon Favreau was a huge fan of the Clone Wars. Jon Favreau is one of a big character in one of the later
he
seasons.
voices somebody, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's how Jon Favreau got introduced into Star Wars, because he wanted to be on the Clone Wars as a like cameo, and then ended up being, you know, showrunner for The Mandalorian.
Oh, is that how that came about?
Yeah.
That's interesting because I saw on that what was it, Chef Show? Have you
Yeah.
watched that on Netflix?
Yeah.
That's a good show.
That's a great show.
I'm enjoying that thoroughly,
Yeah.
and they had the Lucas Ranch,
Yep.
Lucasfilms Ranch or whatever it's called, and yeah, he was on it, and they were talking about how, what's his name?
Which one?
The guy that made friggin'
Dave Filoni?
Mandalorian. No.
Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. Thank
How
you,
did
God.
you just said his name?
I was looking at one of the directors' names. I stuffed up. Yeah, so how Jon Favreau played a character. Like, to be honest, I got a spoiler from it. I haven't seen the show, but I got a spoiler because Jon Favreau was like, yeah, and then I get my head cut off. And I was like, oh, okay. Well,
And that's a pretty big arc as well. Like,
okay, good. So I've had that spoiled for me.
he's a pretty big main character in that kind of series that he's in that season. Okay. And like that's why I was surprised. I didn't know it was him until I'd watched that Chef Show. I couldn't pick his voice when I watched it.
No, that's what I thought. Like,
He's a very good voice actor.
which is surprising because
Yeah.
Jon Favreau, I don't think of as a voice actor anyway. Voice
No.
actors, like there's a couple of them that are quite good, but usually a live action actor, I just don't really, you know them too well.
Yeah.
You've seen their face too much, you associate
Yeah,
too much with them.
definitely.
They usually don't even bother doing it. But yeah, the directors for The Mandalorian, they were pretty
Big.
pretty impressive. Yeah. There was one in particular, it was a female
Deborah Chow.
That's the one. I knew you were very excited by the thought of somebody because what's she doing? Is
She's
she doing
doing
Obi-Wan?
the Obi-Wan series.
Okay.
And I was really like, I'd looked her up when they announced that she was doing that. I was like, oh, what have you done? And I had a look, and she's worked on, I think it was episodes of like
Mr. Robot?
Mr. Robot, Daredevil,
Gods?
American Gods, Jessica Jones.
Did she do Daredevil? Better Call Saul?
Yeah, she's done a lot.
Wow. I didn't realize this.
And I thought, okay, this is a good sign.
Man in the High Castle. Have you watched that?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it.
Apparently it's fantastic.
Oh, well, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, it's just another thing.
Yeah,
Hey,
and yeah, I saw that she was going to be working on, I think she did 2 episodes in Mandalorian. And I thought, okay, this will be good. And the 2 episodes that she did were like 2 of my favorite episodes of the season. So that
which
shows
ones
that she
did
can
she
do it
do?
justice.
She did the second last, I think.
I think she did episode 3, which was the one with the big Mandalorian fight scene at the end.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, you're 100% right. Episode 3, The Sin, she did.
Yep.
Which was what? What happened?
That
at
was
end
the
of
one where he runs away from the guild and they have that massive fight scene at the end.
Oh, that's right. They had the shootout.
Yeah.
That was really
That was
good.
brilliant. And then I don't know I can't remember which other episode she did.
Yeah, and she did episode 7, which was, did The Mandalorian have 8 episodes or 10? 8.
So that was the one where they get back to that planet and they get trapped at the end of the episode.
That's right. Yeah, that was a good one too.
But then my boy Taika Waititi with the finale, like...
God, you said his name so much more confidently than I ever say it. I'm always like, Takita? Taika? What is it? Taika Waititi?
Okay, I'm probably
You
going
don't
to get
know,
it
do
wrong. No, now that I'm thinking about it, I've probably always been saying it wrong, but
I don't
I'd
think
say
anyone really
Taika Waititi. It's
He's-
Taika Waititi or Taika Waititi.
He's so fucking talented.
That man is incredible.
And wasn't it funny? One thing I did notice with that, which is interesting because he only directed it. Jon Favreau wrote every episode. So I don't know
Yeah.
if on his episode he maybe had some involvement with the writing, because the comedy was so apparent from the first scene with the
That
two...
first scene was one of the best scenes in all of Star Wars.
With the stormtroopers?
Yep.
Yeah, and they were like leaning on their bikes.
It's just hilarious.
What the hell is that?
It's amazing.
I mean, we shouldn't be surprised. This is the guy that... He wrote Thor Ragnarok, didn't he? Did he write that?
I honestly don't know
Is
if
he a
wrote
writer,
it.
director, or not? I'll have a look. But that seemed jarring somewhat in comparison to the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Yet, at the same time, it was so good.
It was
and so well
absolutely
done
flawless.
that you're not going to... yeah, I mean, you're not going to bloody get too hung up on it. It was so good.
Yeah.
And who were the stormtroopers? It was
It's two comedians.
Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah.
And I don't know who the other one was. Shit. It wasn't...
And everyone got mad at Jason Sudeikis because he punched Baby Yoda.
Oh, that was... I tell you what, for a fictional freaking character, I was so emotionally invested in Baby Yoda.
I can't believe that they did that. Like, from that first shot of it, I was like, wow, they're really trying to take this show somewhere.
It was amazing.
And then the whole show, they did it justice.
He did not write Thor.
Oh, well, he can make that work.
There you go. Whoever wrote that needs to be brought back, because that was a very funny movie. There must be some form of ad-libbing on set. There has to be.
Well, yeah, he said for Thor Ragnarok, he let Chris Hemsworth pretty much go at it for the whole way through.
There must have been like a narrative structure and then just roll with it.
Well-
because the same with Jason Sudeikis. You've got Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah, exactly. You let him go.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Like, he's got experience just doing that sort of stuff. I really want to find out. Hang on, bear with me here. I want to find out who the other stormtrooper was in episode... Hang on, how do I get to the episodes here?
Episode 8.
Yeah, I don't know. The comedy in it was
I think also,
super well done.
like, Jon Favreau, everyone knows he can write. And
That's what's actually being forgotten here. There was actually 9 episodes.
Oh, true.
There was 9 episodes. We
You're
were wrong
right.
there. He's right.
Wait.
Nah, no, I'm lying.
I know,
Sorry,
what?
my eyes
No.
are no good, Justin. I'm looking at the computer. I should have my
You
glasses
can
on.
confuse me like you did with Watchmen.
9.4. No, Watchmen, I was right. There
I
was
know,
still
but
one
I
more
thought there was
episode.
8, and that's why I was surprised.
Yeah, I'd spoken to you. You were like, "Oh, it's finished. The end was good as." And
I was like,
"Oh
they've
my
left
god!"
it with so much open.
Yeah, because they weren't done.
Yeah.
There's one more episode.
Whoops.
Here we go. Let's have a look. Oh, Bike Scout Trooper. Here we go. Jason Sudeikis and Adam Pally.
I'm pretty sure he's another comedian. Click on his thing.
Yeah, I'm clicking. Does he look familiar? Here, I'll pull up his
He
photo
does look
for you.
familiar.
Let's see if I can get that.
All I can see is his eyes staring over your shoulder.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Does he look familiar or not really?
yeah, he does.
I don't know what he's out of. Somebody's probably listening to this being like, "Oh, for God's sake, friggin' idiots."
Morons. But yeah, Jon Favreau would let each of his directors have their own
He was in Iron Man, that guy.
take of the movie.
Gary the cameraman from Iron Man 3. Does that mean anything to you?
Gary the cameraman.
Gary the cameraman. I don't know what the hell that means.
Maybe in the what's his name? The guy that has the rings.
What? I haven't watched
Who's
it in too long.
the main villain of that?
The main villain, is that not...
It starts with M.
It's not the Mandalorian, is it?
No, it's that's what.
Is it?
Wait, no, he's a.
Oh, the Mandarin. Mandarin?
the-
Oh my God! Hang on, Jesus Christ!
Mandarin.
Because it's that actor. What's that actor's name?
Yeah. Ben
Oh,
Kingsley.
This is good. This is good audio. Yeah, Ben Kingsley. You're right. Hang
When
on.
they're in his room, aren't they filming something? Or they get him to film something. So Ben the cameraman's probably
Oh,
someone that
you
films
reckon?
that. That's the only thing I can think of with someone filming. That's not an actual cameraman. Maybe he's just called Ben the cameraman.
The
behind
Mandarin.
scenes.
The Mandarin.
Not the Mandarin.
No, not the Mandalorian either. Yeah, sorry. So Jon Favreau, his writing. What else? He's done some good stuff. Have you ever seen Swingers?
No.
He did that in the 90s. That was sort of his first thing that he wrote and directed, and it was with Vince Vaughn. And that was when that was sort of both of their first things. I'm pretty sure they went to film school together. And that's where they met. And then Jon Favreau wrote Swingers.
And then he wrote Iron Man 1, didn't he?
He wrote,
and
he
2 and
wrote
3.
Iron Man 1.
He
Mate,
started the MCU.
He did start the MCU. He's the one responsible for Robert Downey Jr. just getting back into it. Which, can you... I can't think of one other person. I think somebody said once Tom Cruise would have made a good Iron Man.
No.
But, like, realistically, yeah, he's charismatic as fuck, Tom Cruise.
But he's tiny.
He is tiny. You reckon
imagine-
Downey's that tall, though?
No, but imagine seeing a lineup of them standing and Iron Man's like 4 foot tall.
Yeah, well, that's true. Hey, you put him in the suit. Yeah, next to Chris Evans, too. No.
Yeah, no, he'd be up to his belly button.
So, Clone Wars, one more thing before we move on from that. I've asked a few different people. I want to get your opinion. So, there was a movie that came first, correct?
Yeah.
I should be able to technically watch the movie before watching the series.
I think so. I can't remember the first time I watched it because there's actually 2 movies. They made like the original Clone Wars movie is like 2D animated. Like it's like hand-drawn animated.
Shit.
And I don't think
is
I've
this
ever
90s
watched that.
maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Must be. So, because I'm like, 6 seasons. That's a commitment. That's huge. I really want to get into it.
But they're only 20-minute episodes.
That I like that.
Yeah.
like
Like
that.
it's your standard...
Did you feel like the Mandalorian episodes just went so quick?
I was surprised at the start that they were only like half an hour episodes.
They were, weren't they? They were only half hour. Which
the last
I
one
liked.
was like 45 minutes. And I thought at the start, I'm like, oh, this is going to be annoying. It's so short, they're not going to be able to tell a story. But they did it really well. So
No, I thought
was
it was
happy
great.
with it.
Because when I first... So many shows at the moment, you go to start and they're all 45 at least. And just coming on the back
It's a commitment.
On the back of Watchmen too. Watchmen loved it.
Yeah.
But it was heavy.
It was.
It was heavy
There was
to
a
take.
lot going
There
on.
was so much to take, so
Yeah.
much to digest. But I guess that was the thing about Mandalorian. Going in, I was thinking that. But to be honest, it was so easily processable.
Yeah.
For lack of a
It
better
was for
word.
everyone, but it also did a lot of justice for like Star Wars fans.
Mm.
So I think it was like, if anything, it's a good introduction for people that haven't watched anything.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect Disney Plus original to open the platform with.
So what else have they got coming? They got Obi-Wan.
Yeah, which I don't even think they've started. I don't know if they've even started, if they've finished writing it or started filming it.
Yeah, last I heard they were writing it.
Yeah.
So is she writing or is she just directing?
I think she's.
Well, she's
producing
probably
it.
like showrunner.
Yeah, I
would
think she's the
assume.
showrunner.
Yeah.
All of the Marvel ones. So there's Scarlet Witch and Vision, Falcon,
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Soldier.
I'm looking forward to that one, I think.
Loki. I think Loki will be good.
Yeah, because are they saying that Loki will take place? It's from when in Endgame.
Yeah, when he
picks
goes
up the stone.
they're like back in time and they screw it over because he
Yeah.
teleports out of there.
That's when that whole narrative is created, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think so.
Which is so far. Oh man, what do you think about what's the Messiah of the Marvel universe? What's his name? Jesus.
What?
You know, the big the head honcho.
Oh, Paul. No,
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh my God! Come on, we know this sort of shit. What's his name?
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige.
I was
God.
thinking Paul Feige. Who's Paul Feige? Is that a person?
I am admittedly more a DC person, but Justin, come on! I thought you had me there. I was like,
I
you know
haven't-
what? I was gonna think about his name, but I'm like, I'll just throw it out to Justin.
This stuff
He'll know it.
finished last year. I haven't been paying attention.
True, it's been Star Wars or nothing at the moment.
Yeah.
What do you think about he's now got everything. So he's now the head of Marvel Entertainment, or whatever they're calling it.
That man has a lot resting on his shoulders.
Comics, TV, and movies all now come under, and video games,
I have
quite
no
possibly.
idea. Yeah.
I believe he is now overseeing it all. How the fuck can one man possibly be overseeing it all? That is ridiculous.
I don't know, but he's doing a better job of overseeing all that than like the president and the prime minister of overseeing their country.
That's true. That's all. That's
Let's just
very
say they've all got lots of responsibilities, but one of those three is doing it well.
true. Yeah, it's really weird because for one, I would be stressed to the eyeballs.
He always seems like he's on top of everything in
He's on
interviews
top
and
of
stuff.
everything.
He's just like so chill, so calm. He's like, we got some cool stuff coming for you guys, and it's like, well,
What a job that must be.
are you not freaking out constantly?
Oh man, he'd have to be. I don't know there's not enough time in the day to do that job.
Nah.
Because what I was going to say was, one, do you like that structure for a universe? And or how long until they give Star Wars to Kevin Feige too?
I hope they don't.
They don't do that method.
I hope they don't give Star Wars
To
to
him.
Kevin Feige. I think Star Wars belongs to like the people who should be in charge of that are the people who are like in charge of it at the moment. So it's like,
Well, Kevin Feige's a massive comic fan, wasn't he? He was a Marvel fan
Yeah.
growing up. So he's
no,
got
they need to stay separate.
You need to have the passion for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Marvel won't work as well in this format, but I think Star Wars will work really well in the format. Because Marvel is such a connected universe that people are not going to want to watch 3 seasons of 4 different TV shows to try and keep up with the movies. Because then I don't think they're going to be super important, but they're all going to have things that link them all together
It's
in a
turned me off.
semi-important way. And it's like, that is a lot.
It's hugely turned me off, mate. It's too
Yeah.
much.
I don't have the energy for it anymore.
I can't keep up with the shows I want to watch.
Yeah.
Let alone add on to that the shows I need to be across.
And I'm probably going
just
to give them a go, but
Oh, I'll try them all because
for the sake of, the show itself.
they'll probably be good shows.
Yeah.
They've given us no reason to think they won't be good shows. But mate, like I've said it to you for so long. I've got so many shows on my list at the moment that I need
Yeah.
to get to. And there's just no time. Like we all have things to do. We're
Yeah.
not all just sitting.
We
in a
have
basement.
lives.
We have lives. I do think there is an element of, I hate to say it, but arrogance to it, because that's just assuming that people will do whatever they're told to do when it comes to a Marvel. And there are those people.
Yeah, there are a lot of people
There's
who will.
heaps of those people.
But I mean, for the majority, they're going to turn people off.
You're alienating a huge amount of
Yeah.
your audience. Those Marvel movies have become so mainstream
Main screen.
mainstream that it's at a point where you'll have your parent come to you, like your dad will come and say, I wouldn't mind seeing that new Iron Man movie. Dad didn't even know who Iron Man was,
Yeah.
but they've brought in a demographic which they would never have normally had. There's grandparents that go with their kids to see Marvel movies. They feel part of it, they like them. Grandparents aren't going to be on Disney Plus
No.
on a Wednesday night going,
No.
I must watch the new episode of Captain America,
Yeah.
Winter Soldier and Falcon or whatever. It's just not going to happen. So I think, it's going to be an interesting thing to see how it impacts the box office, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I think the films are still going to do well. They're just, the story is going to drop. Like, in terms of the overarching, like, the fact that they will try and connect everything into, like, a saga like Avengers, I don't think that's going to work anymore. Especially if they put new characters in TV shows. If they put new characters into TV shows, then it's really going to go haywire. But I think the reason it's going to work for Star Wars is because that is pretty much done and dusted. That
The
trilogies,
saga.
they're over. If anything is going to be included in that, it's completely aside and is only going to fill plot holes. No new movies are going to be irrelevant. They're going to be irrelevant. And like that's what they've said. They said any new movies they have coming out, they're not adding on from it. They might be way before or way after, but they're not about the Skywalkers. They're not about this stuff. And
So
the
they
TV
might-
shows can be like that as well.
Yeah.
They're original. Like The Mandalorian is original.
Yeah.
It takes place then, but it's got nothing to do with any of it.
So there might be, I mean, I imagine this is my OCD taking over because I need things to be in order and in a structure that is coherent for everybody.
Yeah.
They've done really well so far in separating their Star Wars movies with Rogue One a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
Solo, a Star Wars story. Then Star Wars,
Is the trilogy.
The Last Jedi, or whatever it is. Star Wars is the trilogy.
The episodes.
The episodes.
And then
So
the
do you
TV shows
think-
and chapters.
Do you think the Star Wars, what was the Skywalker saga, Star Wars as a brand will continue as films?
Yes.
And there will just be Star Wars, for example, The Mandalorian, or something underneath that comes with, I mean, obviously The Mandalorian's a show. Star Wars, Jar Jar's origins, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You know, that the Jar Jar saga.
Yeah, no, the Star Wars, those words aren't going anywhere.
No, you reckon they'll continue to have the movies that
Yeah.
start with the crawl?
I don't know if they'll start with a crawl.
You don't reckon?
I mean, like,
It's so iconic.
Solo didn't start with a crawl.
but
Rogue One
that's
didn't start
that's
with
my
a crawl.
point. They're different.
They're
being
Star Wars stories.
They're Star Wars stories. My question is, do you think they will continue the Star Wars brand as Star Wars episode blah blah blah? Blah? Will it be episode 1 again? I don't know.
I think if they do that, what they'll do is they'll rebrand the 9 movies into Star Wars: A Skywalker Saga,
which they've done
episode.
before.
Yeah,
They did this with the originals because when Star Wars first
it was
came
just
out, it was
Star
just
Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and
Yes.
Return of the Jedi.
Then it became
Episode 1, 2, 3,
Yes.
and then they went back.
Yeah. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No,
However, especially in the age we live in now, people are way too invested in those titles, I would think. Like episode 1, it's the Phantom Menace now.
I think people will understand it because I mean they're doing the same thing in that sense with Marvel. I mean, like
The Infinity Saga.
they were like, oh look, here's Phase 1, 2, 3, 4, and now that's the first saga.
Yeah.
And now people refer to that whole thing as the Infinity Saga, where they referred to it as Phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now everyone's just
That's
encompasses
true.
the whole
That's
thing
really
as the
true.
Infinity Saga. So we still have Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 as the Skywalker Saga. And now they might do something different. Like they'll still do anthology films, like they'll do a Star Wars story. I think they'll still be doing those, probably in that saga as well. But now they're also going to be doing things that, like, you can probably place everything that they will ever make onto one timeline. I won't
Yeah.
say that they won't be able to do that because it's in the same universe. Like, you can always put everything there. Like, if you take all of the animated series, you take maybe the books and comics, I think everything still fits at one point on that timeline. Like, you would be able to go episode 1 through to 9 and everything in between.
Yeah.
Like, The Mandalorian starts something like 6 months after episode 6 finishes, but in a different part of the
Oh,
galaxy.
does it?
Yeah, so that's why they're like
I would
Empire
say
have fallen, and
that
but you don't
shit to
need
me-
to know that.
Yeah, but that shit to me, I would like to know that.
Yeah.
But how'd you find that out? By like deep diving on the internet?
Not really. I mean, like, you can kind of tell in the fact that, you know, when they go to Tatooine and like from the original movie, and there's all of the stormtrooper helmets on spikes, and even the first episode when you see the stormtroopers, they're like all ragged and dirty, and they make mention of them being like warlords now because the Empire has fallen.
Yeah.
And so now they're at the point where the few who are remaining are basically turning into warlords of their own districts, trying to keep what they had alive.
Okay.
And they more put it into off comment. Like, it's said multiple times throughout the series. And if you probably went back and watched it and looked for it, you would hear it.
Yeah.
But it's never supposed to be in your face. They're not saying, here we are in the Skywalker saga at this time.
Because I just thought the inclusion of a quote baby Yoda. When did Yoda die? Was that in
I think he...
Empire Strikes Back?
oh, God.
Or it could have been.
It might have been Return of the Jedi.
It might have been Return of the Jedi.
See, I don't even
See,
know.
that was my whole thing. Like, to me, an outsider Star Wars fan,
Yeah.
I was like, are we meant to at some point believe this could have been Yoda? Because is that how the timelines add up here? That do we not know? Is this like God knows how many years before the Skywalker saga? I was
okay.
struggling to find the setting. I was
Yeah.
struggling throughout the whole series. I was constantly being like, maybe this is like really predates that whole Skywalker saga.
Okay.
But then other periods, I was like, nah, this feels like it
Yeah.
has to be inclusive of it.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but like, yeah, they do say a few times in there that it's like after the fall of the Empire,
Okay.
because they refer to like the Gina Carano or whatever her name is, the ex-MMA fighter,
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
who's
I didn't even pick up on this, but yeah.
the woman who fights with the Mandalorian.
Oh, was she an MMA fighter?
Yeah, and she was in Deadpool as well.
Yes, I knew she was in Deadpool. See, she was great.
Yeah.
I really liked her.
Her character, that they talked about this a few times in there, like in every episode that she's in, someone mentions it at some stage. She was an Imperial soldier and then a rebel drop trooper or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that can instantly put it into a line that you have Imperials and rebels, because the rebels are only in the original trilogy.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And then you see that she's an ex, and you're like, okay, well, she was part of that. She's not anymore. So either she's just completely left, or it's after that whole thing is a thing. And, there was another one. You know the episode with the kind of like team up where they go and invade a prison ship?
Oh, great episode.
Yeah, fantastic.
Really like that episode where he teams up with... It's bloody Bill Burr.
And Richard Ayoade as the robot.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Awesome
Yeah,
cast.
Anyway.
They call that ship the Mandalorian says this is a New Republic ship. And that's a bit less known, but New Republic
Okay.
is what they refer to in the new trilogy
Yeah.
as those are the planets that were destroyed in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
That's the New Republic. That's the post-Empire where
Right at
saved.
the start?
Um,
Is it right at the start where they like land on a planet and they just blow it right up?
in Force Awakens.
Sorry, Force Awakens.
It was
yeah.
the one where they shoot the laser and kill like 5 planets. With
Oh, okay.
the
Yeah.
Starkiller Base. Yeah, that was all of the New Republic home planets.
Oh, okay. So where they were in that Mandalorian episode, that was one of the planets then blown up.
No, the ship that they were on was a New Republic ship. It was a New Republic prison ship. So that
Yep.
was like enemies of the New Republic in prison on
Yep.
that ship.
Okay.
But that cast was amazing.
So good.
The guy who was the big alien dude with the horns,
Yeah.
he was a voice actor for the Clone Wars.
Okay.
Plays Darth Maul's brother.
Yeah.
The one human alive on the ship is the voice actor for Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars.
Oh.
You can hear it straight away. Like if you watch the Clone Wars and hear him in that, you're like, oh, what? Why is Anakin on the ship?
Yeah.
And yeah, Richard Ayoade from the IT crowd as the robot,
Yeah, he was really
just
good.
being as he always is, and Bill Burr, like just being Bill Burr.
And Bill Burr, that was, I think I actually messaged you. It must have been after that episode. Well, it could have been after the Jason Sudeikis stuff. I messaged you and a few others that are right into the Star Wars, and I was like, is it just me? I might not have sent this message. I might have been too scared because you guys are very protective. Is it just me, or does it feel like if you're a fan of Star Wars as a kid,
You jump on it.
yeah, you can just text somebody that's involved with it.
I mean, I want to do it.
I would absolutely do it too.
Who wouldn't want to do it?
But to me, at the start of that, when Bill Burr appeared, I was like, what the fuck? That's fucking Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Like, what? This is ridiculous.
He's barely wearing a costume.
Barely wearing a costume. It's
Yeah.
so evidently Bill Burr. Mind you, he was great.
Yeah, he
You know,
was. He was fantastic.
I was genuinely shocked
Yeah.
by how good he was. My only thing is, and this is real nitpicky, there's like a 3-4 minute period in this show where I'm like, I can't believe it was fucking Bill Burr. Like, how does Bill
Yeah,
Burr
you're
come to be in a
thinking about
Star
it, yeah.
Wars related thing? Because I don't think of Bill Burr and Star Wars. I know that he's a bit of a nerdy guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not sitting there going, oh, that makes sense. Wrapped, he's there. Let's continue. I'm like, fucking Bill Burr.
Yeah.
What?
You just wait. Season 2 and maybe probably Obi-Wan series. Kevin Smith is going to be in like every second episode as something.
Yes. Oh, yes, because he was in Rise of the Skywalker too.
What was he in that?
It was a no-line role. He was a walk-on with when they go to that planet, again, I'm no good with the planets,
No, neither
where
am I.
Poe, there's that girl from
Oh,
Poe's
yeah. Yep.
past,
Mm-hmm.
and when they're going through the streets, there's a guy next to, I want to say, I don't know, a droid of some kind, I think,
And
he's covered.
Okay.
It's like this massive person. He's covered head to toe in like, I don't know, clothes or whatever. That was Kevin Smith. It was a walk-on role. He was there the day for filming that they filmed the C-3PO being switched, his memory being switched off or whatever. He was there that day, and that's when they filmed that too. So he's already got his first gig. But absolutely, mate, these people...
But also the problem with that, I think one of the good things that I do with it is once you're in it, your character is canon, and so you can't be back in it. So that's as much as he probably will be in it again, because
imagine,
he'll need his face to be in it.
Yeah.
All of these other people, they're in once, they're not going to be seen again.
Well, yeah, that's it for that it for Bill Burr? Did he? Spoilers? Did he die in that?
No,
Didn't he?
no, they get chucked in the prison cell at the end.
That's right. Yeah.
But I would sincerely doubt that they'd ever be shown
I wouldn't
again.
think so. But
But
so was that the idea when Disney purchased it? You said before they scrapped everything before it.
Yeah,
Was the idea to create canon? Is that what they
I
wanted
think
to do? Just
they
start
wanted to get it
fresh?
organized.
So is anything from that Lucasfilm takeover by Disney canon besides Clone Wars and the films, the existing films?
I'm pretty sure the only things that they left were the 6 films that were made and the Clone Wars.
That's it.
So since then, they scrapped all books, all comics, all fan things that were made. Since then, they've relaunched one of the, and I've actually read this one, 2 of the 3, the Thrawn trilogy, which is
that a novel?
a book series.
Oh, okay.
And it's amazing. Like, a Star Wars
They're good.
aside, it's nothing like what you would think it is.
Isn't it so funny? Because to me, I think Star Wars would rely heavily on the visual.
This
sci-fi,
is
but
it's so
sci-fi-
well written.
Sci-fi books are huge.
Yeah.
So
And like, because this was actually written, this series was written before and was canned, but then the guy was allowed to rewrite it to fit a bit better into the story.
yeah,
So he did that. They've relaunched a whole bunch of new books. They've done Rebels. That was the first Disney cartoon series that they did.
I saw that on Disney Plus. I wasn't
And
sure where that came
They
from.
pushed that so hard. That was one of the kind of annoying things in The Rise of Skywalker. In all the fan service, one of the things that they push the most is the Disney fan service that already exists. So like in that scene where all the like voices of the Jedis are speaking, like 2 of the voices are the Jedi who was in Rebels, who's like not a big character by any means, but he gets nearly more talking time than Obi-Wan does.
Okay.
The Ghost, which was the ship from that series, is in that movie about 3 separate scenes, and it's in Rogue One like 4 separate times. They push the stuff that they've made,
Yeah,
definitely.
they're trying to put their print on it.
Yeah.
It's like, did you ever watch? It actually annoyed me a little bit. They did this. Their original Christmas movie Noel with Anna Kendrick.
Yes. Yeah.
Really liked that movie.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Didn't mind it. It was good. You know, it's a free streaming movie. That's cool.
Bill
Right.
Hader's always funny.
Bill Hader's great.
Yeah.
Right at the start, did you notice on the ground the tiles in, I don't know, Santa's house or wherever they were? It like pans across these tiles as the opening credits
Yep.
flash up on screen. If you go back and look, the tiles are in the shape of a Mickey Mouse head.
I did not notice
Yeah,
that.
I noticed it straight away, mate. It jumped out at me and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, fucking Disney, man. Like, they will just... It's like, we know it's...
You know
I'm
they're
watching
gonna
this
push
on
it, yeah.
Disney Plus. Like,
Yeah.
come on. But, yeah, they do. And I don't have an issue with it, but it's when there's existing properties, Marvel included, Star Wars included, even Pixar to a large extent.
Yeah. Oh, they push
Own
all
them,
of their own stuff.
them,
Yeah.
but let them still remain to be what they were.
Yeah.
Deadpool is... I'm friggin' real curious about what Deadpool's going to look like under Disney. Has
Yeah.
Disney ever done an R-rated film?
Oh,
I don't
no,
think so.
I don't think so.
Who the like? Let's be honest.
Well, let's
There's not
just
gonna
hope that they pretty much say, okay, do it like it was. We don't want to. You want to hope that they step back and let it be made.
How are they releasing that on Disney Plus in the future? How are they going to do that, mate? It's Disney Plus. Disney is the brand of Disney is family.
They'll probably have to have like an adult
They'll
section.
have to have some sort of browser window where you can go into if you're over 18.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but I imagine with what we know Disney to be, there will be some nervous people in allowing that to happen.
But I think they will. If this succeeds, they're going to do a lot more of it. Because think about the gritty Marvel and Star Wars as 2 examples shows that you can make.
Yeah,
Like
so
really
true.
gritty. Like Star Wars is supposed to be made for families, but like
It's not.
there's a lot of violence
Yeah.
in that.
I mean, I would think. Let's be honest. You've seen the Disney influenced Star Wars now. You've
Yeah.
seen it with what we've got in the last couple of films.
Yep.
Not the TV. I wouldn't say the Mandalorian's family at all. I would say
It's
that's more-
definitely much more gritty.
it's far more gritty.
But imagine that as like MA15.
yeah.
Yeah. Like that'd be amazing.
Oh, it'd be so good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest, why they didn't. But in saying that, I don't think it lacked.
No, it didn't lack anything.
It's the one thing about Star Wars, I guess, is that the way in which characters are costume designed. Stormtroopers.
Yeah.
The death of a stormtrooper is so not graphic because they get shot through this armor, which, by the way, shocking armor.
Oh, and it's awful.
It's terrible.
They can be beaten by sticks.
Why
or like,
wear it? There's no point wearing it.
There's a lot
they
of
get
holes.
shot once and they
Yeah.
go down. But even something like the most graphic you probably get is the lightsaber going through somebody.
Yeah.
And even then, like, it's just not. You could easily show a kid that. That's fine. In Rise of Skywalker
Yep.
with Rey and Kylo.
Just chopping people up.
It's
And they do that a lot. That's one of the things that you notice in
which
the
isn't
Clone
bad
Wars.
because it doesn't jump out to me as that could have been more graphic.
No, no.
I just accept it.
If you wanted it realistic, if a lightsaber touched someone, they would explode.
Yep. Which
that-
happened. That's one thing I just want to quickly say before you continue.
Yeah.
When is it when Obi-Wan dies?
In the original movie, A New Hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's New Hope. I want to clarify. He kills himself before
I
Vader
don't know.
doesn't he? Because he evaporates.
He does the same thing that Luke Skywalker does and Yoda does.
They just
and
they
just disappear.
yeah.
Because I think he becomes a Force ghost or something. And I don't know if that happens because he died before the blade hit him or if the blade hit him.
That's
and
what
he
I
died.
mean, yeah.
I don't
It's
know.
and then you get Kylo who just cops it through the gut.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, it's
tough.
not important. It's not important. Sorry, you were going to say something about
Oh,
Clone
I was
Wars.
just saying that one of the points in that where you notice that they start trying to make it a bit grittier is you really see the clones die. Like they do some pretty hardcore deaths in that, like lightsabers through them, but they're reacting so much more to it.
Okay.
There's some really brutal things. Like there's this one scene where they're walking through these caves with the like flying things from the Clone Wars movie. The episode 2. They're like the bugs people.
Yeah.
They're like walking through the cave and a dude whips out a flamethrower and just starts burning everyone. And they're like screaming and flying out and you're like, this is a war crime and it's on a kid's TV show.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But like they do it really well.
But isn't it funny though? It's almost what you can do with computer generated characters.
Yeah, like cartoon versus a movie. Like if you saw that in a movie, you'd be like, holy, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the difference, I guess, with these actors, right, in the films where the lightsaber goes through them, you're imagining, first of all, that's happening. That's going to be put in post.
But you should be able to do that pretty well.
You should be able to do it pretty well.
300, you're getting stabbed by a sword. You're not really
That's
getting
true.
stabbed by a sword.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess with these characters, it's the case of your mate, what's his name? Dave, what's his name?
Dave Filoni.
Filoni. He's sitting there and the director knows what they want from a performance.
Yeah, definitely.
You can create that with a computer, whereas an actor, I can only imagine especially the actors aren't necessarily going to be Star Wars fans from when they were young. They might not have as vested interest in it. You're only going to get so much out of the reaction to,
Definitely.
all right, so at this point, the lightsaber goes through your stomach, and they're like, is that the thing that lights up? Okay, yeah, cool. I'll just sort of like wince a bit. It's like, no, yeah, but these guys, that intrigues me with Clone Wars because it sounds like they're able to do way more with it. And
There's a lot of like
the
really
character
depressing
development
character stuff.
and yeah, okay.
But that's also one of the good things about like having really big fans of the series do cameos in like good roles.
It's true.
Because like that Bill Burr scene when he gets like captured, it looks like he's killed.
Yeah.
And he just like screams no and it goes to black. Like that's like, oh God, what happened to him?
It's people wanting to leave their print on
Yeah.
something they really love.
And he
isn't it?
did.
Yeah, it's so true. It's really true. All right, well, I think that's going to be my viewing for...
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to do Clone
Give it a
Wars. I'm
go.
gonna have to
I
do
mean,
it.
like you can probably look up on the internet the right way to watch it.
Yeah.
Because the episodes jump around a bit and it's a bit all over the place.
Yeah.
But give it a go. Maybe skip the first 4 seasons.
Yeah, but see, you said that once to me already. I don't know if I can do that. I'm OCD, remember? I can't just skip them.
Yeah, I get that.
And
but
will
if
I
you
also not miss things that I should probably know that will make the rest better? Or...
You probably will, yeah.
Yeah, don't. That's some shit advice. That's crap.
Just know that you're going to be watching a lot of episodes of filler.
Okay.
Because it's a
That's
kids,
all right.
it's a Disney TV, like it's a kids show.
It's a 20-minute background show in those seasons,
Yeah.
and then I'll eventually ramp up to where I've got the popcorn, I've got the cup of tea. It'll be
Yeah.
a whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, so Clone Wars. I reckon I'm going to take that away. Let's wrap this thing up, mate. We've gone for an hour here. We've talked, and it's become a Star Wars
Oh.
episode. Let's be honest. It's been a little bit Disney Plus, but a lot of Star Wars. Anything else you want to talk about? Or you good?
if you want an insight into buy Disney Plus yet or not, I would
Absolutely.
probably hold back.
Hold
Oh.
back. That's your takeaway.
Yeah.
Even for the Mandalorian, you would
I would
do a free
okay,
trial,
it
7-day
is-
free trial.
Yeah, do the 7-day free trial. You can watch the whole thing now. It's
Yeah.
done. The fact that it's so cheap is a benefit.
Mm.
Like it's ridiculous. It's dirt cheap,
It is,
but
that's
it
going to
doesn't have the content yet.
It doesn't. And I'm at a point where I'm thinking about just canceling, signing back up when there's something I want to watch.
I probably
cancelling.
think I'll do the same. I'll
Yeah.
probably wait till Clone Wars comes out, like this new season.
Yeah.
And then that'll be another week. That'll go for till the second season of The Mandalorian begins.
Yeah.
And by that time, I think things will be coming out. So
There's not enough on there to
No.
warrant it. It's same with Amazon Prime to me. I watch Jack Ryan.
haven't watched that yet.
Really
but
good.
The Boys.
I can give it to you.
Oh,
Oh,
awesome.
The Boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Other than that, like,
Good Omens. That's a good one. That's on Amazon Prime.
yeah, apparently it is, but there's a few things on Disney that, apparently are good.
I would honestly say
I just don't
the
have time, Justin.
from your list there, Amazon Prime is better. Like
Amazon Prime at this point for adult content is
Yeah.
probably better than
The
if you've got a
Expanse,
family.
you
if
need
you've
to
got
watch that.
kids, If you've got kids, get Disney Plus for sure. They'll be entertained for.
oh, you can sit them down
Oh,
and just
man.
like put it. If they need a shuffle mode for kids, you just
Yeah.
press shuffle and it just changes.
Absolutely, imagine that. That'd go.
Yeah.
They should add a shuffle option. What did you say?
The Expanse.
What's that?
It's on Amazon Prime. It's a bit like a Star Wars type of show, but super like it's the most physics appropriate show that's ever been made of like space stuff. And
So it's like
brutal.
The Boys for superheroes, like DC superheroes, but if they were real, it's sort of like that.
Yeah, it's like
It's like the real
Mars has been colonized. There's people living out in the asteroid belt, and that's like Earth and Mars are almost going at war because Earth's like the rich people, Mars is like the people trying to get what they deserve, like the middle class, and the belt's like the poor
You told
people.
me about this
Yeah.
ages ago, actually.
Yeah, it's a brutal TV show. The new season just came out, and like the first episode, I forgot how insane it can get, and like people are just getting absolutely minced flying in this dropship down onto a planet. And
Is
you're
this
like,
Amazon?
Wow. Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime.
All right, well, fuck everything we've said about Disney. Get Amazon Prime because this sounds unreal. I'm actually going to look.
Yeah, and
You've watched
HBO.
it.
HBO. What's the HBO one?
No, there's going to be HBO.
Is it
HBO
Max on now?
No, HBO Max.
Max.
It's going to be that. I don't think it's launched yet, has it?
Oh, has it not?
No, I don't think so. But I'll be getting that.
Yeah,
once that
because
comes out.
Watchmen.
Mate, they've got all
Game of
DC.
Thrones.
They've got Game of Thrones. They've got Sopranos. Mate, that is gonna
That's got Silicon Valley.
True Detective.
Yeah.
We could sit here for hours
I
going
know.
through. Oh man, Barry. Have you watched Barry yet?
I've watched the pilot, but that's it.
Oh man, get into Barry.
Yeah,
I
I
finished
need to.
season 1. Again, got to get into season 2. I'll find
Yeah.
the time, but
There's too much. Oh.
there's too much out there, guys. Let's wrap it up. I'm gonna have anxiety. Let's go talk about TV shows off mic, mate. Thanks for having a chat.
Thanks. It's
All
been
right?
fun.
Yeah, come back sometime.
Oh, I'll try.
Thanks, man.
This has been a Cheeky Leprechaun production.